Exploring Poverty's Effects on Foster Care Reunification. Diana entered the foster care system at 7 years old when her mother went to prison for writing bad checks to escape domestic violence from Diana's father. During the years that followed, some of the foster homes Diana passed through were exceptional, and some felt unsafe. However, even when she stayed with loving, kind families, Diana still longed to reunite with her parents. Years later, Diana echoed this: "At the end of the day, home is what is best for the child." According to 2022 data, 206,812 children entered foster care in the United States in 2021, and 214,971 children exited. In 2021, the case plan goal for 53% of children in foster care was reunification. Although 40% of youth who exited the system reunified with parents or primary caregivers, more than 19,000 children did not achieve reunification or have another permanent home. Reunification, when children return to their biological parents following foster care, is the ultimate goal of the foster care system when possible. Far more than adoption, reunification arguably represents the best option for children in the foster care system. Reunification can positively impact children, improving their feelings of security and stability, sense of belonging and identity, and can reduce the likelihood of re-entering the foster care system. However, children in foster care face many barriers to reunification. Among other factors, substance abuse, domestic violence, mental health issues, and heavy caseloads for child welfare workers can impede reunification. Many of these barriers to reunification trace back to poverty. Although causation may remain unclear, a strong correlation between poverty and reunification success exists, meaning poor children disproportionately remain in foster care. Thus, the role poverty plays in obstructing reunification merits greater attention. Understanding and addressing how poverty affects reunification could increase reunification success rates to promote family stability, mitigate the psychological and economic consequences for both children and parents, and benefit the foster care system as a whole. In the current foster care system, parents and children must undergo a planned program intended to facilitate children's reunification with their biological families. These plans extend over weeks, months, or even years. Poverty hinders parents' abilities to take the necessary steps to complete their case plans, decreasing the likelihood of reunification. For instance, to reunite with their children, parents must have and maintain adequate housing. Many parents with children in foster care lack the financial means to accomplish this. Also, impoverished parents often do not have access to cars, which makes traveling to mandated reunification services time-consuming and burdensome. Some may suggest that parents should simply use public transportation, but public transportation does not erase this issue. The nearest bus stop may be 5 miles away. Consider the hypothetical example of a mother working towards reunification. She has an appointment with the caseworker, but on the day of her scheduled appointment, her boss tells her to work overtime. This mother cannot leave early because she needs the money. When she finally gets off work, she must walk several miles to the bus stop. She does not have time to catch the bus and misses the appointment, delaying the reunification process. Poverty creates many of the obstacles parents experience when completing the required steps to reunite. Poverty also causes psychological and economical strain on children and their parents, augmenting existing challenges on the path to reunification. For example, in a study exploring poverty's relationship to reunification in Accounting, California, a community-based service provider said, quote, "Once a family has a child removed, they lose their CalWorks, the child is removed, they lose their housing, things like that complicate the reunification," end quote. CalWorks is a welfare program that provides cash assistance and services to eligible California families with children. When children enter the foster care system, their parents often lose the aid they had when their children were in their custody, which increases financial strain. As a result of poverty, parents may use whatever financial resources they do have for their own basic needs instead of reunification with their child. A father or mother struggling to put food on the table is less likely to have the practical or emotional capacity to also work towards reunification. Furthermore, the stress of poverty could hinder parents' ability to advance in their case plans. Having a child removed from the home is a massive life change and can cause deep sadness and distress for parents. Beyond emotional stress, the removal of their child can create additional costs for parents in the form of child support even when their children are in foster care, along with the potential loss of qualification to welfare. While in foster care, children often have extended visits with their parents on the path to reunification. In many cases, parents must provide financially for their children during these visits, but with less financial support from welfare. Additionally, parents' obligation to complete case plans that involved improving their homes, maintaining stable income, and other steps, all while caseworkers evaluate their worthiness as parents, induces stress. Worrying about money while also striving for reunification with children can heighten stress and increase depression. In this way, poverty directly impacts reunification success. Heightened reunification rates support the foster care system's mission of family restoration while increasing the system's overall efficiency and effectiveness. To promote successful reunification, the system must accomplish a few key steps: arranging consistent child-parent family visits, ensuring needed services and supports to family like housing, maintaining a transparent relationship with child welfare workers, and facilitating collaboration between agency, court, and service providers all serve important roles. Pouring more attention specifically into foster care reunification could smooth these steps in ways that could massively benefit the foster care system's productivity. For example, heavy caseloads can hinder welfare workers' capacity to deliver quality services to families, leaving children in foster care longer than necessary and preventing reunification. Lightening caseworkers' burdens could help them successfully expedite the reunification process. As previously noted, reunification reduces the likelihood that children re-enter the foster care system. Reunification with families is an essential goal, as life in foster care can be traumatic and increases children's likelihood of negative emotional, behavioral, neurobiological, and social outcomes. Additionally, over half of children with siblings are separated from at least one of their siblings while in foster care, yet another destabilizing effect in a child's life. The impacts of time in foster care vary significantly. While there are certainly many wonderful, loving foster parents, long-term outcomes of foster care for children are often negative. Increased rates of homelessness and incarceration, lower performance on standardized tests, and lower employment rates. Therefore, pouring more time, money, and attention into aiding reunification would ultimately support the foster care system and help children exit foster care. Transitioning children from foster care should be a priority when feasible. Nevertheless, some people may not agree that investing into reunification is worthwhile. Reunification can be difficult and does not always yield a happy ending. First, the constant shift between family and foster care during children's supervised home visits, a precursor to reunification, can make the transition home hard. However, this does not mean reunification ought to be dismissed. Promoting shorter, clear-cut transition periods and explicitly telling children upon placement that reunification is the goal could smooth their path home. Additionally, returning home permanently can be extremely hard for children in foster care. During the time children spend in foster care, they grow, change, and endure a great deal. Upon their homecoming, family relationships might be changed. Broken trust, chaos, grief, or resentment among family members may shift and complicate dynamics. A growing recognition of the importance of child well-being is driving policy development in the United States, which could positively impact both child safety and program permanence. While safety risks exist for children in both foster and biological families, foster families generally have no history of violence. In contrast, it is important to note that children initially enter foster care because their home environment is unsafe or unfit. Successful reunification requires that their home has become safe. However, this is sadly not always the case, and one can see how a single tragic case of parental domestic violence against a child after reunification could undermine political and personal support for reunification. However, because both returning children to their homes and keeping them in the system carry inherent and competing risks, we should prioritize reunification to support family unity when possible. Although regulations and case plan requirements have ample room for improvement, they do aim to ensure that children return to safe homes. In summary, reunification's inherent complexity should not discount its merit as a goal. Instead, reunification's intricacy requires careful evaluation of each family's unique needs to address root issues and facilitate safe and positive transitions out of foster care. Lastly, some argue that individuals experiencing poverty should not have the privilege of raising their own children, suggesting that foster parents with greater access to resources could provide a better life for a child. Although poverty presents significant challenges for parents, poverty alone does not warrant the removal of their right to raise their children. Parents' right to raise their children should only be questioned when there is clear and consistent evidence that they cannot provide a safe and healthy environment for their child. Beyond meeting a child's basic needs, no one, regardless of socioeconomic status, is required to have every aspect of their life perfectly in order before becoming a parent. If the ability to raise children was reserved for those with ideal resources, few would qualify for parenthood. Anyone who is capable of supporting a child's survival and development should have the right to do so. The significance of biological family for children must not be undervalued. As former foster youth Sweetie Moon wrote, quote, "Some think because the child was removed from an awful situation, they should be grateful. No child is going to be grateful for losing their biological family," end quote. Moon's perspective underscores the innate value of maintaining family connections whenever possible. In 2021, over 391,000 children in America lived in foster care, experiencing the hardships that accompany family separation. Children in foster care represent a vulnerable group whose well-being needs improvement. Promoting familial reunification is one of the most effective ways to support a child's emotional, relational, and overall well-being. However, as this paper establishes, poverty creates many obstacles to family reunification. To better achieve reunification, it is incumbent to better understand both the explicit and the nuanced ways that poverty uniquely thwarts the reunification of children with their parents. All children have inherent dignity and immeasurable worth as human beings, including children in foster care. Acknowledging this worth implores those who want to understand and address poverty and inequality to confront the existing problems in foster care, of which reunification is paramount. Promoting reunification can concretely help children who lack relational, emotional, physical, or other essential resources. Addressing the ways poverty obstructs reunification in the foster care system is certainly not simple or straightforward. Yet supporting children's well-being and family unity whenever possible is well worth the challenge.